Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show. Stepping up to the microphone are your hosts, Drew Gann and Rusty Witten. Now, let's get to the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Two Buck Sports Show. I am your co-host, Rusty Buckets, coming to you here on Thursday evening with my esteemed colleague, Uncle Buck. What's happening over there in North Mississippi?
It is a beautiful day in paradise here in Northeast Mississippi. The sun's out. It's about 85 degrees. For unforeseen circumstances, I was off today, for reasons you don't want to be off from work. I had a sick kid. But it is allowed for us to record while the sun is out, and it feels, bright and sunny and pretty outside. It just brightens your whole mood a little bit.
Yeah, I was kind of preparing for the 2 Bucks After Dark, a late night tonight after the kids went to bed, and then I got a text from my co-host here, and he said, "Hey, what time you want to record?" So I just called him for it'd be easier, and he said, "I'm watching Top Gun." I said, "How about now?"
Yeah, so to set the stage at the Gann household for today, my wife is on a girls' trip. She is descended upon Nashville, Tennessee, like most white women do in their late 20s, early 30s, with a bunch of friends here from Ripley to just go and have a weekend or 2 nights away from kids and husbands, apparently was the goal. And so I told Rusty earlier in the week, I was like, "Listen, man, I'm going to have 4 kids here, so we may have to push this to like after bedtime." As I said on the show last week, bedtime has been an adventure in the Gann household recently. But my mom, because Haley is gone today and tomorrow, my mom had to step up to watch the baby because he's not in daycare yet. And so he just stayed the night with my mom tonight, and Jenny is asleep because she has just not felt the best the last couple of days. And so I was like, let's just squeeze this in right now. And so it's kind of, God has shone down on this little podcast here tonight. Yeah. And so we were able to get this in before Rusty's bedtime.
That's it, man. I actually might get to bed at a decent hour tonight. Unlikely, but there's always that possibility.
Then maybe.
But yeah, I got Game of Thrones to watch tonight, man. I can't. There's too much going on right now for me to be going to bed at a decent hour. I need to know what happened. There's a lot of chaos. I need to know.
Right. And let me tell you what, the NBA Finals, even the Western and Eastern Conference Finals, has allowed for the way that they have what's the word I'm looking for? Transpired.
Yeah, there you go.
So far, I was like perspired. That was the word that popped in my head. So it's like the way it's transpired so far, it's allowed for a lot of dead time. That you can catch up on your TV shows and whatnot. So maybe in a future episode, we'll take a page out of our good buddies at the Daily Grinds playbook and talk about what we've been watching lately in our off time. But for tonight, we're not going to do that. So we've got a lot of stuff we are going to get into. We're getting a little creative with our third segment. It's probably the first show that we've had that we've like, okay, well, let's get creative. So we've got some creativity for you in the third segment. I hope you guys look forward to that. Stick with us. But we're going to start this show off the way we start every show, with our best and beef of the week. So it's where we talk about our favorite thing that's happened to us this week and our biggest gripes. And it's very rarely sports related. This is just the Rusty and Drew portion of this show. So Rusty, I set them up. You knocked them down. Give me the best thing that's happened to you this week. And if you say something about mosquito bites this week, I'm turning it off.
I'm not. So my best and beef are kind of one and the same. I'm not a man that needs new things often. I've had 3 trucks my entire life, and I don't like going out and buying new things when old things still work. I will run things into the ground until they just plumb don't work anymore. And I got there with my cell phone over the course of the past week. So for the first time in 5 years, I got a new phone today. Yesterday. I got my new phone yesterday. And so it's exciting. I got the new iPhone 15 Pro Max with the big camera and all the stuff. I have no idea how half of it works. Like, I can text and call from it. And that's about as far as I've gotten so far, but we're figuring it out. But it's just it's funny, and it's kind of parlays into my beef a little bit. But I was with Mama Monday night. We had driven down, she had some doctor's appointments in Birmingham. We were spending the night down there, and I woke up in the middle of the night and just kind of stretched in bed. And I reached over to see what time it was, and my phone was like piping hot. I mean, it was like hot. Like it was enough to kind of wake me up and reach bed a little bit. And it said, your iPhone is too hot. I'm like, no kidding. It said, it will continue charging you when it returns to a normal temperature or whatever.
Like,
and it did that.
I'm inside.
Yeah. Like
you typically get that when you leave it in your truck. You're not when you're in bed asleep.
Right. You know, I got it when I be sitting on the beach, but this is 2:30 in the morning in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. There's not much going on other than, you know, sleeping. It's real dark at that time. And it did it again, you know, over the course of yesterday. Just like it would only charge up so much and so much and so much. And so RIP to the iPhone 12 that I had, and I've now officially moved it up to the 15 Pro Max. And it's, you know, it's always fun getting some new technology and fun to getting a new phone. So my best of the week so far is I finally got a new phone.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a tech guy, although I'm not like super like computer program tech guy, but I do love like cell phones, and I do love that kind of stuff around my house. I've talked about on the show how I've got a bunch of my lights tied in with our Alexas, so I can just like operate. I like that kind of stuff, just gadgety stuff around the house. And so it is always fun just to go get a new phone because it's just it's new, you know. And I remember back in the day, and I'm sure you do too. Originally, when you got cell phones, you got a cell phone for 2 years, and then you could get another new cell phone for nothing. You know, just as long as you kept it for 2 years. You signed a 2-year contract. Having cell phones nowadays are a lot more expensive, and that's why you, I'm sure, have had your cell phone since 2015 or whenever you got it. So, and the reason why, I mean, I looked at our phone bill yesterday. Me and Haley are still on my parents' phone plan because it's cheaper. And so, looked at that just to see how many payments we've got to pay off these things, because like half of my phone bill is the phone itself, and you have to make payments over 30 months, and it's just garbage. So the moral of the story is I'm going to have this phone forever.
I mean, I did. You know, shout out AT&T. They've got a special going for Father's Day right now. You can get the new iPhone 15 Pro Max. Shout out, no free shout outs. AT&T sponsors this podcast, but $6 a month, which is not a bad deal on it. You can pay it off early with no penalties. So probably we'll do that. But it was nice just to get a good deal yesterday. And I'm a fan of a good deal. When I finally decide to make a purchase, I'm gonna make sure that it's a good deal. It's on sale, whatever. Because I've thought about it plenty long, and so we pulled the trigger yesterday. Got us a new phone.
There you go. I want to start with I want to kind of hijack the order of this real quick because I want to do my beef and then my best. And then we'll snake back around to you. That's all right?
Works for me.
All right. So I'm a man who needs a few things. I'm pretty simple, but there's a few things that I will spend money on, and I don't mind spending money on because I use them every day. One are these AirPods. I always have my AirPods on. I've had about 3 or 4 pair of them. Use them every day. When they go kaput, I'm like, well, I got my money's worth. I'm going to go get me another pair. Another one is sunglasses. I am fair-skinned, blue-eyed, and since I was a kid, had very sensitive to light. I have to have sunglasses. It's non-negotiable. It's to the point, like, if it's sunny outside and I don't have them, I'll get a headache. That's how sensitive I am to sunlight. So I've always had a nice pair of sunglasses, and I will have these sunglasses for years until they just fall apart because I take care of them. I'm a glasses wearer. I have had glasses since I was like 10, so I've always known how to take care of my glasses and my sunglasses. But my beef is I crunched my sunglasses underneath my foot.
No.
I had a
That's
pair
the
of
worst feeling.
Yeah, I had a pair of nice Costas that had the glass lenses, whatever, you know, they're supposed to be scratch free and shatter proof. Well, they're not crunch proof. And
When
so
you step on them.
it was my own fault. We were having pictures made of, you know, a few weeks, month ago. It's been a little while. And threw them on the ground. We were having family pictures made amongst the pile of things that we had brought out to the field to have our pictures taken. And one way or the other, it got put underneath the blanket, and I crunched them. And crunched them beyond all repair. Both, I mean, it was just, it was, yeah, man, they were dead. And so, that was a big beef because I've been having to deal with it. I've gotten like random pairs of tinted, safety glasses from work, and they are horrible. And so I guess my best of the week is I got a new pair of sunglasses today. Yeah, look at that.
Oh, style.
Do I look like a cop?
Give it more like Men in Black. Like you're gonna pull up a little like memory eraser here in a minute. Like wipe out all of our memory banks.
So I got me a new pair of sunglasses today. I got them from the eye doctor, and because of my insurance plan, I don't really have to pay for them. So nice. I'm really excited. Although these are a little bit more fragile, which was probably a mistake. I probably need some that were made out of like rubber. But as long as I can keep them out of the hands of a 2-year-old, I'll be okay. So I am excited about it. May wear them the rest of the show. I don't know. We'll see.
I got a new pair of sunglasses last week. Mags and I went by Fleet Feet here in Memphis, and I got a pair of Gooder. Have you heard of those? Goodr? Gooder? Dude,
I like the
name. Yeah, they're great. Yeah. Gooder. And they were $35, and they're polarized. They're comfy. They're very bendable. Yeah. Like they're made for running, and they're non-slip. So like they sit on your face and they won't slip down or whatever. Shout out, no free shout out. Give a look to Gooder sunglasses next time you need a pair.
Yeah, I may have to do that in the cases that I have to make something work without much money, Yeah. And so that's always, if you can find a deal on one. These were not $35.
No.
But because of my HSA plan at work, I had some money rolled over that I haven't met on a deductible before. So I was like, I'm buying me some sunglasses.
Yeah. And to be fair, most of our listeners could probably get away with the $25 sunglasses that are made for normal humans. I have a watermelon sitting on top of my shoulders, this giant head. And so I had to get the extra large size so they would fit my big old head. And so those are $35. You normies can get the $25.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, the Gooder is losing money on those massive size sunglasses.
I mean, you see my hat, it's a bucket. Like, I mean, it's 7 5/8.
9 1/3.
7 5/8. Thank you very much.
So, so that's our best and beef of the week. It's been a good week for both of them. Oh, no, I forgot you haven't gotten your beef.
We're snaking back around to me, which mine kind of ties in a little bit. Yeah, DJ, run that back. My beef of the week is I had to get a new phone, and I had to transfer everything over, and I'm having to figure out my contacts and figure out how to get all my apps and stuff back on here. I have been working on getting my work email on my phone for 2 days now. And it's like the IT guys must think I'm an idiot.
Yeah. No, you're not.
They're like,
not about this anyway.
Right. In other ways, sure. They're like, follow these steps and your email will be on your phone. And I'm like, literally like looking at it, doing it. And I've done it step by step. I promise you 13, 14 times. And it puts it on my phone. Then it says, error, cannot reach server. And I'm like, because like there's nothing more frustrating for me in this world than technology. Like I think I've talked about this on the show before. Those who know me know this well. Like if I buy an electronics, the second one is the one I always end up with, right? Like I buy a TV and the first one's got this weird like Mongolian like virus on it that'll shut it down. I get a phone and it'll just like randomly overheat and quit working. Like I have the worst luck with technology. So as soon as I got this phone, I was like, you know what? Like when I put my phone on my email on my last phone, when I got back with my new job that got me to Memphis, it took me about 3 days and about 31 tries. Well, I'm about halfway there, sitting around like 13, 14 already. And so by the time we record this show next week, I might have my email on my phone. Yeah.
So, it's always weird when you're dealing with company emails. I'm the same way on mine. I'm not an IT guy. There's something about networking that has never clicked with me. I'm a tech guy. I don't do the networking thing. And there's so many firewalls and stuff that is specific to each company and how they protect their own email servers that you almost have to. For me, I took my phone and handed it to my IT guy who was he's in the office right next to me. I was like, please put my work email on this phone, please.
For me, I'm gonna have to drive to Birmingham. So I tell you what, if there's a real chance I might not have it on my phone by July the 8th, which is my mom's next doctor's appointment in Birmingham. I might be like, Ma, Clark, we're going to make a pit stop by Upstream's headquarters here in Birmingham. I'll pop in the IT office and be like, put email on this phone, please. Please.
Yes, I am I'm a member of management, but I cannot figure out how to put email on this phone.
They're going to be like, sir, we will. And then we need to talk about your employment with this company.
Yeah. Only one way to go from here, buddy.
That's it.
All right. Well, now I'll put a bow on this first segment and say that has been our Bucks best and beef of the week. Very much first world problems this week from me and you, Buckets.
It kind of was.
Yeah. So we both got new things and retired old things today in our best and beef segment of the week. But
to new things.
To new things.
To new things.
Before we get to our second segment, we will talk a little bit about the NBA Finals game that happened last night. That would be Wednesday night for everybody listening on Friday. We'll talk about that a little bit in our second segment. We'll also get into just Grizz roster questions that we're looking at, players that we would love to see on the Grizzlies. So stay tuned for that in the second segment. But before we get there, let me tell you about Vicky Gann CPA. Vicky Gann, if her name sounds familiar, it's because she is my mother and she is a certified public accountant. She's got 25 years of experience and she offers a whole array of accounting services, including income tax, tax preparation, payroll tax. But she also does QuickBooks, which is a software used by small business people everywhere to do their books. So if you know anybody who has a small business that uses QuickBooks or would like to start using QuickBooks, give Vicky Gann a call. She can help you set it up or troubleshoot it once you get it running. Her phone number is 662-415-6446. Or you can email her at vickyganncpa@gmail.com. That's VICKIGANN@gmail.com. Let her help you out with all of your income tax needs.
Not just the level of individual talent that he plays with, but it's also the level of his mind. We haven't gotten cross-court open shot this year. Right. We haven't seen that pass a lot. Number one, you got to respect him going to the basket. There's a roller. I got to watch the roller. He has the mind to be able to say, I see all of that, but now I see this guy over here. I'm going to get him this open shot. How shifty he is to always be going forward. It's usually side to side.
Yeah.
His dribble moves are side to side, but going forward.
Right.
Which is very hard to defend. I just want to get you, as many times can I get you to do this? But for him, it's not here. It is here, which is are his moves to get down the floor. It's awkward for a defender to try to catch a cadence. You dribble. So now what I do is now when you go put that ball down, I'm going for it. But with him, it's hard for my cadence. But what's my cadence for you? I don't know what it is.
Tune in to the Anthony Sane Show Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Who do you need to step it up? Outside of David Jones, I think David Jones is David Jones.
I don't think you need him to step it up because he's been performing.
Yeah, he's David Jones. Outside of him, he's fine.
I think Quinterly needs to play better.
In what way? He's facilitating the ball well. I don't.
Two at 12 from the field's not cutting it.
It's not great. It's not great.
And I don't need a runner three from the top of the key with 3.5 seconds left.
Is Virginia the game where Jordan Brown is going to cook? Those dudes aren't looking to run the ball.
Cook what? Dude, I thought he was going to have a freaking night. He came out with that fresh cut, lined up, and then literally within the first 15 seconds missed a wide open layup, and then picked up 2 fouls right away.
I feel real lied to because I thought we were getting a 20 and 10 guy.
Didn't think it did anything for you.
Well,
I think we all thought we were getting a 20 and 10 guy. And we are getting that in David Jones.
I'm not even getting 20 or 10 minutes out of the guy.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the $2 Sports Show. You can catch that show, this show, the Anthony Stain Show, Grizz 901, The Daily Grind, all on bluffcitymedia.co. No M, just C-O. Hop on there, join the Discord. $5 a month gets you access to all of these great content creators. The Discord to hang out with Uncle Buck, myself, the content creators you've seen in the commercials, like the Night Court. There's so many good things happening at Bluff City Media. Come be a part of it. $5 a month. But before we get into our finals talk, Drew, and I guess it kind of parlays into it, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about a murder that was happened late last night. It's a murder in Savannah. One Brian Windhorst of ESPN and LeBron James fame absolutely eviscerated Luka in a post-game interview last night, essentially calling him soft, calling him out for his tirades, whining, and childlike tantrums on the court. Basically eviscerated the once great Luka Doncic. So RIP Luka's basketball career. You got bodied by a LeBron James. I'll leave it at fangirl. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, Wendy has done a lot more. I mean, he did ride LeBron's coattail to fame, when he was covering LeBron in Ohio as a high schooler. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if he's going to regret going as hard against Luka as he did, because
no punches.
Listen, not one thing he said was wrong about how he has played through 3 games of the NBA Finals, the 3 games in which they have won 0 of them. Mm-hmm. So, but you're always going to be that guy that's on the dartboard now for Luka, and he's always a guy that's not scared to go at media either. And so, I wonder if you become kind of the punching bag in the next NBA Finals that he dominates. Once he, kind of digests this one, because they're down 3-0 now. I mean, no team has ever come back from down 0-3 before. And so everybody is kind of looking at maybe Dallas's next opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's any way that Luka doesn't make another NBA Finals in his career and have the opportunity to redeem himself. But he unloaded a clip on him last night that was kind of out of nowhere. And it seemed very almost emotional. Like it felt very out of him somewhere.
It felt very personal. Like he had some anger towards Luka. I don't know if Luka shunned him or cut in front of him in the buffet line when they were there somewhere. I don't know. I mean, he lost some weight. Shout out Wendy for losing some weight. But he is salty. He's salty about something, and with good reason though. Like you said, like there's nothing he said was wrong. Luka has been flat out atrocious on the defensive end of the court. Listen to these stats. This came out. NBA Central tweeted this out early on Thursday morning. The highest blow-by percentage allowed on drives in a series in the last 10 years, with a minimum of 10 drives per game defended. So you're defending a guard trying to drive in the lane for a layup. The worst all-time happened in 2024, where Luka Doncic gave up 67.7% against the Celtics. In second place is 2000. It does. But in second place is 2024, Luka Doncic with 65.2% against the LA Clippers. And then third place was in 2024, Luka Doncic with 59% against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So he is an all-time worst, worse than James Harden. At least John Morant tries on defense. He's not the best defender. He at least tries. Luka is giving him the James Harden Olay and just watching them get to the hoop. And he just looks. And look, I know he's hurt, right? Like he's nursing a knee injury that keeps coming out. He's kind of limping a little bit. But we're going all the way back to the Clippers. We're going back to the Thunder. This is not just a finals problem. This has been going on for the entirety of the playoffs. When he was absolutely cooking the Thunder and the Clippers, he was still giving up all-time bad defensive numbers, and it hasn't gotten better.
Yeah, and he's been a turnstile. It's almost like Olay is kind because he looks like the Matador out there, but it's almost like he just points them straight to the rim, and it's like there it is, because he doesn't keep his chest square, and so he's always kind of leaning away from the offensive player and kind of just lets him go around. It's been really bad, and Boston has made him pay every time. The unselfish play that the Celtics have had has led to open shots all day, and it all starts by them switching Luka onto the primary ball handler coming up the court, and it
They're
starts.
giving Luka what
And
Dallas gave Minnesota, because like Minnesota was Dallas was trying to rotate other people onto Luka so Luka could take them to the rim, especially Gobert. We saw him win a game against him. Boston has just reversed that, hit him with the Uno reverse card, and do the same thing with Luka on the other end of the court. And he's out of position, like you said. His shoulders are turned. He's never square. Then when he is in position, he jumps into players trying to draw a charge. None of them have even looked remotely close to a charge. But then he spends his time whining to the refs, allowing Boston to have a 5-on-4 advantage. It turns into a layup. Then you've had, where he's trying to draw fouls on threes, where he'll get touched and flopped, and like those back-to-back last night or Wednesday night in that game, neither one of them were remotely close to fouls. He tried to sell them, didn't get the call, and then got really pissed about it and was moaning and crying to the refs. And you could just see his whole team was just kind of like just deflating at that. It's not having the effect that he wants.
Well, and after he gets beat on defense, he doesn't recover either, which is allowing for the swing. Whoever he should have rolled to is wide open. And so it's just been a very bad series for Luka. And this is not the first time in the postseason that this has happened. He addressed it in the first round against the Clippers, where he said, like, listen, I got to quit barking all the time at refs. And so he's realized that before in this postseason, and he's really needs to realize it now, because like I said on the Daily Grind yesterday, and as I've said on this show before, like game 3 for the lower seeded team being the first home game of the series is the most winnable game of the whole series for them. And Luka just did not show up for it. And, he had his points, he wasn't a zero by any means. But what you look at for your star player, for your MVP candidate in the NBA Finals, is more than just points and rebounds. They look up, they follow your lead, and if you start the game by finding something to complain about the whole time, like that's what they're going to do. You just need to put your head down and go win a basketball game. It's nut cutting time. You're down 0-2 and you cannot go down 0-3, and you're playing at home. And it was just like the mentality wasn't there, because with 5 fouls with 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, he tried to draw a charge on a play that he was not in position for at all. Exactly. And so he just took himself out of the game out of probably frustration or just the being hell-bent on getting a call. Like he had to get a call because he felt like he didn't get a call all game. And so it's almost like he was foul hunting even on the defensive end, because
it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to waste that kind of game, because like Kyrie had 35. Kyrie stepped up big Wednesday night.
Good.
And Boston was down KP. Kristaps Porzingis was not playing because he had this rare injury of a non-contractile tissue. Basically, it's not muscular. It's not a ligament. It's just like a fascial covering that keeps the tendons together. He ruptured that, which caused a tendon dislocation. And I mean, that's hard to come back from, because you can't rehab it. It's not like you can strengthen that fascial covering. You can't stretch it out because, again, it's non-contractile tissue, meaning it doesn't contract and relax. You can't stretch it. It's just a firm covering. So really, there's not much you can do other than wait it out or have surgery. He may not play again in the finals if that posterior tib tendon continues to snap in and out, because that can cause rupturing, which can cause foot drop and can cause a lot of issues. Sorry for nerding out for a minute.
No,
that was your game.
That's what I told Luke yesterday on the Daily Grind. I was like, you're going to have to get rusty, because I can't even pronounce what they put in that press release.
Yeah,
I can't even read it.
It's the medial retinaculum, which is just like a little covering over some tendons down on the top part of your foot, where that would be more on the inside, kind of covering the front to back, where your tendons run through around your ankle bone and keep them in place so they don't snap in and out of place and cause rupture. And so for him to rupture that's tough. I don't know that he plays again in these finals. They clearly don't need him, because that was your game, right? Like, if you listen to the Chris Martin show yesterday with Tony Allen and everybody was like, oh my gosh, KP's out. He's not playing. Like, this is the game. Like, that line's going to go up. Dallas is going to win big. They could get back and win this series. And then Wednesday night happened, and Boston was up by 21 at one point. They held Dallas to 20 in the second and 19 points in the third, and just absolutely beat the brakes off of them. This series is over. At best, you're going to get a gentleman's sweep. But like that was your game, Dallas. Like all that to say, coming back to the point at hand, that was your game to win. No KP, Luka go off. Kyrie had 35, but instead you got Luka pouting all night because he wasn't getting his calls. I mean, he was 1 for 7 from 3, so there was a lot of frustration there. But Dallas squandered their best opportunity to win a game so far in the finals with their superstar pouting. It just shows, I bought in the hype. I own it. It shows that everybody was buying into Luka being the best player on the floor playing right now.
Right.
But they overlooked who is the best team. And Boston, top to bottom, is the best team. They're on a historic clip, based on the way that they're playing right now. At their win rate, they would win 80 out of 100 games right now, which is just insane. And I think you said it on the Daily Grind. Luke and I talked about it. You and I talked about it last week. We may just sit back and look at this and go, you know what? Yeah, Boston had an easy cakewalk to the finals and the playoffs, but that was a historically good team. They absolutely dominated in the regular season. They're dominating right now in the finals. I think Boston just is that good this year. Yes, Luka's the best player on the court right now, but Boston is getting big minutes out of Drew Holiday stepping up against Kyrie. Derek White having big games. Jaylen Brown's continuing to score at a high rate and will likely be your NBA Finals MVP because Jason Tatum has kind of been hit and miss. He had 31 Wednesday night, decent, but Jaylen Brown has been the storyline outside of KP's first game.
Yeah, I think, I was wrong too, but I was wrong for the right reasons. And this isn't over. Maybe the Mavericks are the first team to come back from a 3-0 deficit and win it. If so, we'll still be talking about this series next week on the show. But I picked my team because I picked the best player that was in the finals. And I still believe Luka is the best player in the finals.
No doubt. And
he's not playing up to snuff. But if I just put up the last NBA champions, okay? And so I'm going to go through the last 10 because I think 10 years ago is the first time you can say that a complete team beat the best player, okay?
Okay,
so
let's see what we got.
Denver versus Miami. Jokic is the best player in that series.
Mm-hmm.
Golden State versus Boston. Steph Curry was the best player in that series.
Denver was also a better team than Miami last year. A lot, like from top to bottom. Because Miami only had Jimmy Butler.
They were an 8.
Last year was like best team and best player.
Right. The East is properly described as weak. I mean, let's be honest. And injury prone.
Sure.
Milwaukee versus Phoenix. Giannis had a 50-point game 6 there to win that. Yeah.
So that's best player beating best team because that Phoenix team was better than Milwaukee.
Right. Los Angeles Lakers versus the Miami Heat in the bubble. Okay.
It's a bubble. It doesn't count.
Toronto beating Golden State. Maybe that's one. Kawhi Leonard was amazing, but that team was a better team, and Steph Curry was probably the better player.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out Marc Gasol, but I think that might be the one exception to your rule.
Yeah, and then you've got Golden State beating Cleveland, Steph versus LeBron. You've got Golden State beating Cleveland, same. Cleveland beating Golden State.
There's a lot of repetitiveness here.
Golden State beating Cleveland. Okay. And then San Antonio beating Miami. And I think that San Antonio team's the team you go back to being the last complete team.
Mm-hmm.
That team better than star. That's definitely there.
That was kind of their MO in San Antonio on those teams, those pop teams with Duncan and Ginobili and Parker, because that was the last of their run. And those teams were just always just the best team on the floor. They didn't have that one dude. They had Kawhi, they had some guys, but they didn't have like a Steph or a LeBron or a Giannis. But your point holds. Outside of that Toronto team, I think the
an argument could be made for that Toronto team. But and that this Boston Celtics team this year is playing a lot like that San Antonio Spurs team did, where you're passing up good shot for great shot. It's unselfish. I mean, Jason Tatum has not been offensively great, but he has been a very valuable player as a distributor and as the initial drive guy.
He's a good defender. He's a good defensive player, and it shows in this series because when they put him on Luka, he can stop him.
Right. So, again, I'm not going to apologize for picking Dallas because Luka's the best player on the court. However, this time it seems like the best team is going to outshine the best player.
I agree. Last thing on the NBA Finals before we get into some Grizz content that I think will be good. Shout out our boys X, man. Xavier Tillman, 1 for 1 with that corner three. Big money minutes for X. He had 4 rebounds last night for Wednesday night for him. So, I hope that our former players do well. If X get a ring, I'll be happy for him. I'm not one of those sunshine pumpers that it would have been cool for Mike to get a ring, but I hate Minnesota. This one's at least stomachable. But shout out to our boy X for getting a big bucket in the win the other night. So
yeah, I listen. I'm not gonna lie. I've had a little sour grapes since the comments he made after he left, and this was the number one Xavier Tillman show while he was at the Grizzlies. But then he went immediately to Boston. Was like, okay, now I realize how it's supposed to be done. They take it seriously, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Listen, I'm trying to be nice to the guy, but yeah. So X getting a big bucket the other night. All right, so we're going to talk Grizz for a few minutes. So Uncle Buck and I were talking off the air. We're just talking about guys who we think, there's been a lot of rumors swirling, names floating out of who would make the Memphis Grizzlies championship caliber contenders, right? Like, who is that missing piece? Is it a big? I think the elephant in the room, that's the obvious choice. Is it, drafting a big and getting a big wing, going after a guy like a OG Anunoby or a DeMar DeRozan? Like, you go get a guy who can score from the wing. Like, where do you fall, or where do you make that move to make your team take that next step? Because we've been to the pinnacle of the regular season, being a 2 seed in the Western Conference back-to-back. We've made it to the second round of the playoffs, but who's that guy that gets us to the Western Conference Finals and ultimately an NBA championship? Uncle Buck and I are going to talk about that right now. Who are 5 players you would like to see on the Memphis Grizzlies next year? I'm a gentleman. I'll concede you going first here. Uncle Buck, who is the first player that comes to mind that you would want to see on the Grizz next year?
Yeah, and this is draft players or free agents, however you want to get them. This is whoever. Who you want. Realistic target.
Realistic, not sure. We all want to go get Steven Adams back or whoever, but realistic gets for the Grizz.
When you said realistic, you gave an unrealistic example, I figured you were going like Steph Curry, not Steven Adams. But okay, Steven Adams could probably be gotten.
That was the first one that came back to mind. Well, no, Steven ain't coming. Aquaman ain't coming back.
No. So my first one is a current player under contract that always just seems to get mentioned in trade talks for whatever reason, probably because the team he's on stinks. But I couldn't think of a better fit, and it's the only player that I can think of off the top of my head that I'd be willing to trade a young superstar for, i.e. possibly G.G. Jackson or Vince Williams. Mikal Bridges. That's the one. I would, and I've said it on this show before, I don't want to trade G.G. Jackson. However, G.G. Jackson projects to be amazing, and Mikal Bridges is amazing. And he plays 82 games a year. He never gets hurt. Yeah. He's a perfect pairing alongside Ja, a long, lanky 2-guard / 3 small forward that can shoot, who can pass, who can dribble. Like I said, stay on the floor, defends at a high level. He's incredible. And
he's friends with Desmond.
Yeah, he is. I don't care about that. They'd be friends anyways. But when they got there, But I covet Mikal Bridges. He's one of the few players that I would mortgage our trove of draft picks and young talent to go get.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's hard to give up a guy like GG because you see what potential is there, but a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, right? And Mikal Bridges, we know is awesome. We know he stays healthy because the number one ESPN released some NBA free agent article today to Plus subscribers, and they talked about what is the number one thing the Memphis Grizzlies need before next year, and it's health. And so Mikal Bridges is the epitome of it, right? He's the Cal Ripken Jr. of professional basketball. He just doesn't miss games. He's Iron Man, and so. Solid first choice. Mikal Bridges would make the short list of people that I'd want for sure.
Do you want to do one list at a time or one player at a time?
Doesn't matter.
You call it.
I'll go next. We'll kind of go back and forth snake style, and we've got a little treat for y'all at the end as well. That'll be similar. But for me, the first one that comes to mind fits a need. He checks a lot of boxes. He's one I've harped on for weeks on this show, on the Daily Grind. I think he's going to get paid, but if you move some guys around, whether it's like a sign and trade or if you move around, it could work. Isaiah Hartenstein from the New York Knicks checks a lot of boxes, man.
He's my number 2.
He's a rim defender. He gets those rebounds. He's gritty. He's played with a slashing guard in Jalen Brunson. He knows how to clear the lane. He knows how to set a pick and roll. He facilitates pretty well in the high post. I just think he checks a lot of boxes and reminds me of another big white lug, 2 that we've had in the past. Well, Steve-O in the rebounding, he can score like Jonas could back in the day. I like Isaiah Hartenstein. I think he fits his team very, very well. He's probably going to land in the neighborhood of like a $20 million contract, so we're going to have to lose a Marcus Smart or a Luke Kennard to get him. But my number 1 would be Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah, so he was my number 2. So I'll just piggyback off there and then give my number 3. We'll just snake. So he was my number 2. Like you said, the report is that Oklahoma City is going to offer him a $20 million a year contract. And if that's the case, I don't know how serious the Grizzlies are about him. I think he's worth it. I think he is a younger Steven Adams. He's a really good screener. He's a really good rebounder.
26.
He's well, I mean, Steven Adams is only 29, Rusty.
Right.
Everybody thinks he's 35, but
I know, right? He looks my age, but he ain't.
But he's a very good screener. He's a very good rebounder. He is a hustle guy, an energy guy, a big guy that's not scared to jump on the floor. I don't know what his offensive chops are outside of the paint. If I'm being honest with you, like I haven't done that much research with him, but
what more do we need?
For his screening and rebounding alone, he's worth a lot of money for me. And so he was my number 2 player. My number 3 player is another Nick. I still covet OG Anunoby. Much in the same vein. He's kind of the same player. He's kind of like a Mikal Bridges light for me, or a Mikal Bridges with an injury past, So he fits the same boxes. He's big. He's athletic. He's a jumper. He's a elite defender. He's got a 3-point shot that can be depended on. I just love OG Anunoby. I love his name.
Yeah.
I mean, it just I love everything about OG Anunoby. And so that's where I would go with the 3rd spot. So Rusty, you take a couple, your next couple here, and we'll snake back around.
So OG was my 5th one. He was 5th on my list because we had such a high interest in him anyway. So we'll save the time for my 5th pick. But yeah, I love OG's game. When he's healthy, he can score, he can facilitate. He's a big body defending. Obviously, we were super interested in him when he was coming out of Toronto, but then our season fell apart with injuries, and so he went to New York.
Right.
Was he unrestricted? He is a free agent this offseason.
He is a free agent, and his agent they're floating out. They're playing hard to get, like free agents do and agents do. Whereas they say, I know you traded for me, but that doesn't mean that we'll re-sign, so trying to drive the dollar up.
So he has a player option at $19.9 million to opt in New York, or he can walk and test the market, which, he's again, probably going to commandeer somewhere in the low 20s. So you'll have to move some parts to get him, but OG was 5th on my list. So yeah, I'll go 2nd and 3rd. My second pick is probably, we talked about in the first segment, I'm a guy who likes to make things last, stretch my dollars, make them go a lot further. My second pick would be, I just like Kel'el Ware in his game. I like how he is very athletic. He's raw. He's got a lot of upside and work that needs to be done. He's not as heavy as Isaiah Hartenstein and some of these big guys, but he can score. He averaged almost 10 rebounds a game. He was 1st team All Big Ten defense, 2nd team All Big Ten behind Zach Edey at the center position. He runs the floor well. Was one of the fastest players, not just post guys, but players in the NBA Combine. He gets up and down the floor. He's a high-profile dunker. He's great in lobs. He's a good pick-and-roll guy. Mike Woodson, the coach at Indiana, called him out because when he was a freshman at Oregon, he was very low energy and he just didn't have a great motor. And he called him out. He said, look, we're giving him a spot, but he's going to have to earn it. You can't come here and loaf. And he did not loaf. Right. He played really well, had a couple injuries, missed a couple games, but in big moments stepped up. He had like 5 straight double-doubles in January and played really well down the stretch. And plus, he's going to be cheap. He's going to be $4.6 million if we draft him in that ninth spot.
Yeah.
If we think he'll be there in the mid-teens, we draft back, it's even cheaper. But, like, you get a guy like that, you sign another big that's a little bit cheaper that can be his mentor and let him develop for the first part of the year. And then by the end of the year, he's your starting five and running you in the playoffs. For the dollar amount that he comes with and the potential of his game, Khalil Ware is my second player.
Yeah, I like him. He comes with caveats for me. That's why he didn't make my list, because the caveat for him would be you don't get Hartenstein. You don't get another big guy, and he falls to you. Like, he's a great bargain pick. That's just not the way I approached it. And you're on that train. You've got to take him. And I appreciate your commitment to the Khalil Ware bit. Like, you're convinced. And so, you've got to take him.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to put him in my top five because I've been harping on him for weeks. I wrote the article, and then weeks before that, I mentioned him on this podcast before anybody else mentioned him. He was mentioned on the 2 Buck Sports Show.
So give me another one.
Yeah, my third is another big. I saw a trade on Twitter, and I kind of liked it. It made sense from a financial standpoint, and it's Marcus Smart in the 9th pick to Cleveland for Jared Allen in the 20th pick. Because you can still then maybe get your guy Devin Carter, who makes my honorable mention. I had 2 honorable mentions. He was one. He's got a lot of hype, and I know there's a lottery team out there that's interested in him. I do think it's us that's interested in him because of his dad being on staff here.
Makes sense.
Regardless, I like Devin Carter's game, but this is about Jared Allen. Jared Allen is when he's healthy and when his motor is on, he is a walking double-double. I mean, he gets boards like nobody's business. He could get you 20 and 10, 20 and 15 when he's healthy. And there's questions about that, right? Like, he's had some injury concerns. He played most of the season. There was some rumors that he was copping out of the playoffs because he didn't want to get injections and that kind of stuff. And then also it just came out that maybe it was just a toxic kind of locker room and it was just kind of falling apart and JB had lost the locker room. Matters not. For me, he's my third player for the sheer athleticism that he has, his defensive prowess, his ability to rebound. He fills a lot of voids that we have, and him and Jaren in the post would be a formidable duo, and I think a very athletic front court for us. So Jared Allen is my third player.
Jared Allen fits. I'm really on the train out of town on him because of the things that you just said, and maybe you can. I'll believe it if he gets traded that it was JB's fault because I'll want to believe it. It did turn out that locker room was a little toxic, but for 2 years in a row, there was a reason he after the playoffs last year, he admitted that the lights were too bright for him and he wasn't made for the moment. And then this year, I don't remember if it was a game 6 or game 7 elimination game. He refused an injection that would allow him to play. And so I'm kind of we're 2 ships passing in the night on that one for me. It's not something I can get excited about right now.
Sure.
Somebody I could get excited about. And this is I think the way this list is shaped up for both of us is kind of shows everybody what our thoughts are on this draft. And we kind of want the proven vet to go with the already good team rather than the young 100%. Guys, because the first 6 picks that we've got are 5 different vets. Okay,
right. Outside of Khalil Ware, everybody's been a vet.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. And so my number 4 pick is Ron Holland, and this is a pick in which you're like, okay, it's the best value at 9 if he drops 9 because he is one of the guys that could fall to 9, but also could be a superstar. He falls in that same vein as G.G. Jackson did, or even Zaire Williams, or the young guy who did not contribute much out of his first year out of high school. For Ron Holland, he was with the Ignite. The Ignite were terrible. He did not show. But if you just go look at high school rankings, they're a pretty good indication of how you're going to turn out as a pro player. And he was the number 1 player in the country. And so I do believe the frame's there for him to be elite. The talent's there for him to be elite. And so if you got that lottery ticket as an option at 9, I think you go best available. I would probably even take him over Khalil Ware just because of upside and the value that I put for a big man. I feel like you can find them anywhere. We got Bismack Biyombo off of his couch
absolutely
last year in a pinch.
There's dudes out there that we can get.
Guys. You know.
So you're right. I mean, he's 6'8", 206. There's a ton of room on that frame for some size, some bulk. The talent is obviously there. When he was in Duncanville High School in Texas, I mean, he was incredible. Number one player in the country. Yeah. There's a reason he went to the G League and not college, right? Super good, super athletic. Two things. I don't trust anybody that is born after I graduated high school right now. He was born July 7th,
turn the NBA off.
2000. I don't trust this kid. He's 18 years old. And I just the youth here, because like here's the thing, like the upside is incredible. He fits the small forward, power forward, like that role we don't really need. Like we could use some help at small forward. We don't need any help at power forward. We got Jaron, we got Santi right now in a very crowded front court. But like, what need does he fit for us right now? He's best available. I understand that part, but from a pragmatic standpoint, like I don't know that he fits our needs right now, and our championship window is wide open. Do we need more youth? Do we need more youth on a team that's already? Yes, we're getting older. Yes, we've got John and Jaron.
I mean,
you've got to pick.
At some point, you got to take it. But this is my. Let me lay out this scenario for you. We talked about Mikal Bridges and what it might take to get a Mikal Bridges, and that may be to send off GG Jackson. This guy and GG Jackson are almost identical situations 1 year apart. GG Jackson was the number one or a top 3 high school player going into South Carolina. He was terrible at South Carolina. He dropped all the way to 45 in the draft, and we took a lottery ticket on it, and it paid off. And there's no doubt in my mind he would be the number 1 pick in the 2024 NBA draft, and we've got him because the public opinion had soured on him based on 1 year post high school and at an unsuccessful program.
Sure.
And this year, that guy could very well be Ron Holland. He was the number 1 player in high school. He went to go play for the G League Ignite, a team that will not exist next year. They've been so bad.
True.
And they've had no success at all in the G League.
True.
And so, and that team doesn't shut down if you're if you're developing these high school players at a good rate, then don't matter if they win or lose or not, that still remains an option. They're shutting it down.
I get that.
So
I get that. It's the same.
But if you have to get rid of GG to get somebody like Mikal Bridges, I want to always have that lottery ticket guy, because Ron Holland could be an all-star. Yeah. And I want as many all-stars as you can get. Like we're saying, you've got a really good team. Big guys that are going to contribute this year, you've got to bring in a pretty awesome player to crack the rotation this year. And so if you're just holding on to a lottery ticket, you're making 2 moves. You're making a big move for a starter, i.e. Mikal Bridges, or you're just taking guys on the fringes that you hope bust on the scene. That's the 2 moves I feel like you're making. And that's one of them.
I like Ron Holland. I know Anthony Sane on this network's big on him. He's a phenomenal talent, great player. But we have Ron Holland at home and GG Jackson. I'd rather keep him, use that pick on a big. My personal opinion, but I do like Ron Holland's game for sure. Yeah. For me, my 4th player, and then I'll go ahead and get my 5th. I talked about OG already, so my 4th is also a Nick. Apparently, I just want the New York Knicks. Another guy that checks a lot of boxes for me. He's coming up. He is a free agent. I believe I got his details right here. He is a post player. He's a free agent in 2 years. So he would be a trade with the New York Knicks. Yeah. And that would be Mitchell Robinson. He's a great post player, the other Nick, right? Because they've got 3 bigs right now. Julius Randle, who is terrible, washed up. You got Mitchell Robinson, who's commanding $14.3 million this year. Next year is $12.9. So it's a descending contract. It's one in that middle thing that we can afford. Right. Again, it'll probably cost you Luke, but you've got an opportunity to get a guy who averaged almost 10 rebounds a game last year, had some health concerns down the stretch. But he can move for a big guy. He's very athletic, good rim protector. Again, great rebounder, which is what we need. He's a big body. He's only 26. Again, he's not super old, not a ton of miles on him.
Right.
Let's see, last year he averaged 8.5 rebounds a game. In 2022, 9.4. Like, the guy gets boards. He does what we need. He's a big guy. Former 2nd round pick. I like Mitchell Robinson and would love to see him in Memphis next year.
I would too. And honestly, I had Hartenstein number 2. You could put Hartenstein / Robinson because I believe that the Knicks are going to they're going to make a decision. They're not going into the offseason. I mean, to next season with both. And it seems most likely that Hartenstein is the one to just go test the waters and get what you can get. And that's fine. But if the Knicks were to say sign Hartenstein and then try to trade Mitchell Robinson, slide Mitchell Robinson in where Hartenstein was at because I do like his game as well. They're both high energy guys, good rebound guys. You probably get a lot more defensively out of Mitchell Robinson. And so, yeah, either one, you're going to get more risk history with Mitchell Robinson as well.
He missed 51 games last year with injury, with an ankle injury. So there is some issues there. The year before, in 2023, he only missed 15. So, I mean, like, last year was maybe an outlier, but there is an injury history there. You're right. But the production is there when he's healthy. So I like Mitchell Robinson. So my top 5, and I'll go round mine out and let you go, is Isaiah Hartenstein, Khalil Ware, Jared Allen, Mitchell Robinson, and then OG Anunoby.
Yeah, and my number 5 is kind of off the radar, and I'll be honest, I listened to Grizz 901. If you haven't listened to it, this week's episode, listen to it now because they got
not now.
They
Wait
talk
till
a lot of
show
draft.
and then listen to it.
Yeah, obviously. Listen
Finish
to us
our
first.
show, then listen to it.
Then listen to Grizz 901. But they were talking draft, had a special guest on who was extremely knowledgeable and had a very distinct point of view, one that did not mimic the mock drafts that you're seeing around. He's very high on some people that the consensus is low on, and very low on some the people that the consensus is high on. And I always love to hear consenting opinions. And he kind of talked me into this guy, and it is Nikola Topic from Serbia. He is a 6'7" guard. And if you just look at what Serbia has come out of it, I'll be honest with you, like it's hard not to just see the name and where he's from and the build and not think Luka Doncic. And no, nobody's going to be Luka. Luka was starting on the national team at 16 years old.
16 years old.
Yeah, he was playing for Barcelona at 16 years old, winning Euro Cups. But if you look at what Ja doesn't have, it's size. And so a guy that allows you, he may be able to be a better half-court style option. You know, he's like I said, 6'7" guard who can kind of get where he wants to. All those European guys have a very distinct pace about them that works well in like a half-court offense kind of thing. And so I'm very intrigued by him. Like I said with Ron Holland, like it's just a guy that I don't expect to contribute much, but it's a ticket to have, you know? Yeah. And so I like to have tickets on guys that can boom or bust because we feel so steady in the core of our team that you can take these flyers. I said on this show last week where you're really getting into a hairy situation with your cap room here because you've done so well drafting that you're not going to be able to keep all of them.
Right.
And so you've got to keep on kind of taking these shots for when the day inevitably comes that we're going to have to make a decision. Do you go into the second tier of the luxury tax and handcuff yourself for the foreseeable future? Or do you have to try to get what you can get for one of your superstars and let them walk? And in the case that happens, I want to have some lottery tickets and hope that they pan out.
Nikola Topic is a great pick.
I believe Kevin O'Connor had him like in the 8 to 10 range.
I think 8 for some reason. He was like right before Khalil Ware. I think he was 8.
Yeah. So my top 5: Mikal Bridges, Isaiah Hartenstein. I'm going to change that Isaiah Hartenstein / Mitchell Robinson, whichever one that the Knicks just let go of. I'm happy with either of them. Slide them in that second spot. 3, OG Anunoby. 4, Ron Holland, and 5, Nikola Topic. And so that's our lists here.
I'll put that on our Instagram. Y'all bookmark it, save it. We'll revisit this before October, probably after the draft, and see if we get any of these players. Once the free agency kicks off, we'll see if we were right. And if we were, you owe us a beer. Otherwise, we'll see y'all on the other side of the commercial break. We got one more last segment. We're going to go back to, don't spoil it, we're going to go back to some old school $2 Sports pod material. So hang with us. We got a fun little segment playing for y'all after the commercial break.
I'm just big on being able to vocalize what someone's role is. I always thought my best coaches were the people that let me know exactly what you expect from me. Now, I might not like it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. But if you come to me man to man to say, this is how we think we're gonna play you, bang, 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 and hopefully everybody understand. I'm not saying that this has not been done with this team. I'm just saying from my experience, we all have egos when we get to this game. Right. All of us, to the last person on the bench, you got an ego, but all of us can't be the man. Yeah, you got to be able to say, okay, he's the man, but what do I do and what can I do to help us be good? And if it's vocalized to you, then you know exactly what. And if I'm out there doing it, and now I'm not getting the result from you, now we got to sit down and have another conversation. But as long as it is told to you, this is what we expect from you, this is how we want you to play, then I feel like, again, keeping his logo. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Tune in to the Anthony Sane Show Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. All right, Christian.
Yes.
You are Penny Hardaway.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Today, you're going to play act. Okay? Gabe, because you're a Jordan Brown apologist, you're going to be Jordan Brown.
I'm a Jordan Brown apologist. Okay.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Y'all are sitting across the room from each other.
I said, don't tweet him hate. And he's like, you're an apologist. Like, good God. But either way, continue. We're in a room together.
Why did things break down?
Jordan, we brought you in this year to be the centerpiece of our offense. You came in out of shape. Let's call it what it is. Call a spade a spade. We play fast. Told you this when we were recruiting you. We play fast. One of the fastest paces in the country. You have to be able to get up and down the floor. You have failed at that.
Oh, well, I'm leaving. So it's fine.
Cool. Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back. Third and final segment. As we talked about earlier, bluffcitymedia.co. Leave that M at home. Leave it off. Co. Bluffcitymedia.co gets you access to all of these great shows. Speaking of shows, we're going to throw back the $2 Sports pod before we became this show and do a fun little segment we used to do where we would draft some of our favorite things or things we'd like to see. You know, we did one about a lottery winnings, that kind of thing. Yeah. Well, in light of some very disturbing news this week, I am boycotting Nathan hot dogs for the remainder of time until this is corrected.
You know what?
Because Joey Chestnut wants to look out for his health and eat some hot dogs that are beyond meat and actually somewhat decent for you, it's appalling that they're banning him from America's -- pastime. Eating.
I'm banning Joey Chestnut from America. That's what I'm doing. You took a perfectly good American staple that is the Nathan's hot dog, and you decided to go with a veggie dog. Like, no, go to Europe where you belong.
I mean, I get that, but at the end of the day, the man's trying to be healthy. I mean, he's borderline. He's gluttonous on the July 4th. I've watched this man devour 43 slug burgers in a setting at the Slugburger Festival in Corinth, Mississippi. It set the world record. Didn't know there was one. Most Slugburgers eaten in a contest. 43 is the record. I'll never forget watching that.
There was no second place.
No. Everybody's in awe. It's just like, and then you've got, like, I'm watching these people chug lemonade, and they were talking about this on the Chris Vernon show yesterday, an ice cream eating contest. Bro, like, how does your brain not freeze out of your noggin? But we're getting sidetracked like we typically do.
He did bologna eating in Knoxville last weekend.
Jeez.
That sounds like a terrible morning.
Well, I mean, it's just like you took a hot dog and you flattened it out. Like, that's all that is. You flatten out a hot dog. So it's the same. They're the same. They're cousins.
So Joey Chestnut to Sweden.
Yeah. So we have lost American hero Joey Chestnut from the hot dog eating contest, but you have gained the $2 Sports show in an eating contest. So we're going to draft the top 5 things that your illustrious co-hosts would eat in an eating contest. Yeah. should we be given the opportunity?
Yeah. So, do you want to go first? I basically just made it my favorite foods.
I mean, that's it. I'll go first. Same. The number one thing that I think I would dominate in an eating contest is chicken wings. Bro, I would absolutely murder. Give me the bone in. I will be cleaning the things left and right. Chicken wings were the number one thing in an eating contest for me.
Yeah. And that's dangerous for an eating contest. I mean, you might accidentally get a bone in there. I mean, you got to be you got to be an expert at peeling the bone, peeling the meat off the bone, which I feel like we both are.
Yeah.
Clearly. So we're going to snake this. So I'll do 2. We'll do 2 the rest of the way each.
Yeah.
So with my first overall pick, I just thought, one, it was like, what are my favorite foods? But also, what can I just seemingly eat an endless amount of? Mm-hmm. And it's particular things. I feel like that you just don't have a limit to yourself on. My stomach just doesn't have a limit for these things. Mm. And the first was Doritos. I could eat a family-sized bag of Doritos at any time.
Which flavor? Is there a flavor or just any Doritos?
I mean, I feel like Doritos brand, but if you ask me to like I'll allow you to take barbecue chips if you want, but I get Doritos.
Fair.
All right.
Fair. Yeah.
But my favorite is the spicy nacho. That's the one I'm getting every time if I'm picking it out. So
good call.
I just feel like I could eat a whole bag, family-sized bag of Doritos at any time. Post-meal, first thing in the morning, doesn't matter. Just sit in my recliner and eat a whole bag of Doritos. Number 2 is crawfish.
That's my third.
It was a lot in the same vein of chicken wings, where it's like an experience more than a food. But I could sit at a table with crawfish and all the fixings, the potatoes and corn and whatnot, and just be there for hours eating crawfish. And we have a crawfish cooking every year at work for lunch, one day of the week a year. And they put ravioli in it last year, like cheese ravioli or beef ravioli in it. And I'm telling you, it's a game changer.
Huh. I never thought that.
These people come from Louisiana and cook it for us. Just a quick sidebar. It's the best crawfish I've ever eaten. And the crawfish is good, but they also put random stuff in it that's always good. For instance, the macaroni or the ravioli. They also put pineapple and green beans in it before. And they take the can and they just punch holes in the can and drop the whole can in there. Like genius. These people, these Cajuns have figured out crawfish.
They know what they're doing, man. They know what they're doing. Crawfish was my third. God, you stole that.
I'm glad I took it in. I thought about kicking it, but I remembered who I was up against. So my second and third picks are, my first and second picks rather are Doritos and crawfish.
So my number 1 is wings. Obviously. Number 2 is my favorite food of all time. Maggie makes fun of me because I eat them probably 4 days a week. That's tacos. My only experience with an eating contest was tacos in Springfield, Missouri, the El Guapo Challenge at, I forget the name of the restaurant, the Mexican restaurant there in Springfield. You had 6 half-pound habanero enchiladas and then a half-pound beef brisket taco. And you had to eat them all in like 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Dude.
Did you do it?
I did. I had a shirt. It said, I survived the El Guapo Challenge. My face was on the wall there for a while. I was hurting later because I ate all the habanero enchiladas first and let that brisket taco just sit in that habanero sauce. And that first bite, my face instantly went red. And I was like,
that's like holding your finger over the water hose.
That's it, man. That's it, man. I made a mistake.
Just applying pressure when you go.
But we crushed it. We still got it. We still won. Still got the t-shirt. But I think I could do some work in a taco eating contest.
Yeah, that's a good one because I feel like it's got to be a very easily handheld object if you're going to compete in it.
I mean, you can just crush tacos.
We talked about this on the show before. Bluff City media people do not know this, but a very huge portion of why I love to eat certain foods is the delivery method. It's the lack of mess. That's why I'm not going to spoil it. My favorite food is my favorite food. It's just because I don't need to dirty a plate. So.
That's it.
Give me another one.
For me, my third one was going to be crawfish, but I'm going to stick in a seafood vein because I've only been ever kicked out of one restaurant in my entire life. and it's no longer there in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Good riddance. No, I can still go to Hooters, I guess, if I want to. I haven't been in years, so who knows? But I got kicked out of the Oyster Shack in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. It was all you could eat oysters one night, and all you can eat is apparently 5 dozen because I'm drinking. They had MGD on draft, Miller Genuine Draft. I'm having those, throwing back raw oysters, and the lady's just like, "Here's your check, sir." I was like, "Oh, I'm not done. I'm going to get another beer." And she's like, "They told me you had to go." And I'm like, I look around. I'm like the only dude in here. Like, why are you kicking me out? I'm giving you business. So for me, the third one
was America.
Yeah, I thought this was America. What, I end up in Korea in the world? But I digress. This let bygones be bygones. And for me, my third one is now raw oysters. And I know it's going to be controversial with a lot of our audience, but you give me some hot sauce and I'm just going to do work on those things.
Oysters is one of those things. Raw oysters is not really my thing. I can tolerate them. I'm not going to eat them in bulk. I do like the cheater oysters, the char grilled, the Rockefeller. I like those. Mm-hmm. Again, I ain't eating 60 of them, so it didn't make my list.
Yeah.
So my next one, again, we're doing 5, right?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, 5. Okay. We're talking just favorite foods at this point. Mm-hmm. And I believe that pizza is the superior food of all time. And so I want pizza, and I want it because I could eat pizza every single meal of every single day. There's so many options. There's so many varieties. I just love pizza.
That's how I feel about tacos.
And like a taco, a pizza is just the perfect meal because you don't need a plate. There's no mess. Like it's a food of the future. Like it just makes so many sense on so many levels that it's not food related at all. You know, I don't have to do any dishes after eating pizza. Yeah. I can eat it cold out of the refrigerator and it's just perfectly fine. You know, like just checks a lot of boxes. Pizza is elite. I love pizza. Pizza. My fourth one is another thing that just Americans love, and it's just fried food, and it is a staple for the Gann household because my wife loves them, and they are mozzarella sticks, fried cheese. If you can't get more American than that, just fried cheese. It's they're small, handheld. Shove them down your gullet real quickly. I feel like it would work great for a food eating contest, and you won't have the typical reaction the next morning. For typically, you eat a lot of food the next morning. It's just like, oh my goodness, Rusty just ate 75 tacos. He's going to be seated for a long time the next day.
Sure.
Well, if you eat 7 dozen mozzarella sticks, you may not go for a week. So,
yeah, once heard a wise man once told me that hard cheese makes for some tough, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I don't know where that was going. You're going to have to fill me in.
No, we'll talk about that off air because our mama's listening to this podcast. But, so we got mozzarella sticks. So I got 2 picks left. One of mine is a staple of just a favorite food of mine. I feel like it's kind of I don't know. I hope it resonates with our audience and they love them as much as I do. You get them all the time at seafood restaurants. You get them as an appetizer. You don't have to pay for them at the Dead Dog Saloon in Merle's Inlet. They come out before your food. Dude, I could crush hush puppies. Yeah. Give me I love them with like the onion in them. I've had sweet hush puppies at Dead Dog. They put a little honey butter. I've had spicy. Like it doesn't matter how they come. Hush puppies are a favorite food of mine. And I could it's almost like tortilla chips in a Mexican restaurant. Like I have no willpower. If you set a basket that high of hush puppies in front of me, by the time I leave, they're going to be gone because I just can't stop eating them. And you dip in sauce for them or not, I'm just it's just like mindless. I'm listening to music, having a beverage. I'm popping in hush puppies. I can do work on a basket of hush puppies.
It's a perfect starter. And it's one of the first fights that my wife and I had when we were dating. Yeah. I asked her, do you like seafood? And she said, well, I like hush puppies. And I was no. That's not seafood. She said, what else do you eat it with? And
everything.
Just because they don't serve them at You know,
Yeah.
McDonald's doesn't mean I
Yeah.
wouldn't eat them at McDonald's. You know,
I mean,
like,
I have
wherever.
been to the dinner bell and ordered like a grilled chicken breast and a side of hush puppies because it just sounded good. It's
Yeah.
like a hush
You
puppies.
telling me that the Mexicans couldn't come up with an awesome way to have hush puppies and queso? Like, no,
Yeah.
I mean, be perfect.
Dude, I think I know what I have for
shouldn't have
supper
said
now.
I should not have said that. I
I'm
just
gonna make
gave
some
away.
cheese dip.
I just unlocked the code and gave it away to everybody.
That's it. Like if you watch, like my brain just like it just clicked. Like that's like a core memory now. It's like, ooh,
It's like, oh, Mexican hush puppies with queso.
queso. Be right back. So
That's the end of the $2 Sports Show. All
that's
right,
it. We'll
give
see
me your
y'all next
last
week.
pick.
So my last pick, I am more of a salty guy by nature. I love chips.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, like yeah, in more ways than one. And all my food so far has been salty. So I got to have a little bit of sweet to go with that at the end.
We're thinking the same.
Dude, I could eat a million Oreos in one sitting. Like
Oreos.
I went Oreos. I thought some Little Debbie's. I kind of flirted that way, but I'm thinking like I was still thinking favorite foods that I could eat in bulk. And so like again, I have to be careful. I can't buy, and I'm, I might get booed for this in some circles. Give me the double stuffed or the mega stuff, like all the cream. And I gotta be careful buying those because like I'll just sit in my chair with the whole pack. And just like mindlessly pop them in while I'm eating, and then all of a sudden I'll reach down and it'll be empty, and it's like, oh no,
Like,
oh no,
oh my goodness,
oh no.
Did I get the mini? It's like, no, I got the family size. I got the family size of mega stuff. I had all the possible calories that Oreos offers.
I'm picking up the phone. I'll be like, I call Amber Lance. I have diabetes.
I think I just got it. I caught diabetes.
That's it.
Kirk. Hey, cousin Kirk, you recommend anybody?
I need some help.
Yeah, so that's a good one. Oreos is the only thing in my house that if my wife buys, no one is allowed to touch.
Yeah.
They're her Oreos. As she likes to say, what's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine.
Exactly. Especially when it comes to Oreos. Shout out the first lady of the podcast. I agree, especially when it comes to Oreos.
Yeah, so I did the same thing. I had to get something dessert because I do have a sweet tooth. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I have a salty tooth as well and a savory tooth, and I've got lots of teeth. Yeah.
Same.
Swiss cake rolls.
Ooh,
They're the superior Little Debbie cake. We fight about this offline a lot, but Little Debbie's are the superior. Little Debbie. I mean, Little Debbie's. What am I trying to say?
Swiss cake rolls are not the superior Little Debbie.
Are the superior Little Debbie, and it's also the superior challenge, like food challenge, all you can eat challenge, because you can. I mean, just you don't have to take multiple bites. It's one bite. I mean, if you take multiple bites out of a Swiss cake roll, then you're doing it wrong. You just
right. I don't understand how we live in a world where oatmeal cream pies exist, and this man is sitting here saying that Swiss cake rolls are better. I just don't understand. We live in a world where oatmeal cream pies exist. Like that's a real thing, Drew. You know that, right? Like,
as my grandmother would say, the proof is in the pudding, sweetheart. They're just better. Like you can choose oatmeal cream pies, and I will say, ain't nothing wrong with an oatmeal cream pie. Nothing.
Yeah, they're the superior Little Debbie's. Listen,
but the Little Debbie's, the Little Debbie Swiss cake roll. The only thing wrong with it is it's Swiss. I don't know why they're not an American cake roll.
Yeah, maybe.
Whatever.
But here's the thing. Faithful listeners of the $2 Sports Show, are you going to listen to the man who thought it was Tanger outlets and not the Tanger outlets? Thankfully, our audience was much smarter than you, and 90% of our fans outside, the only ones who voted for Tanger were in your family. You and Cousin Kirk.
I mean, you're going to argue with that? You're going to argue with that?
Said Tanger. So, faithful listeners, I bid you listen to the man who understands English and how to speak it. It's not picking a roll, a foreign roll. I am picking the American oatmeal cream pie.
I don't want to ever hear you pronounce it tangerine from now on. It's tangerine.
Dude, like it.
What was your honorable mentions?
So I did have a few. Funnel cake would be another one for me.
You didn't even put oatmeal cream pie on your top 5, so you really can't argue with me.
Funnel cake, oatmeal cream pie, Oreos. Nutty Buddies. So I've got oatmeal cream pie, Nutty Buddies in my honorable mention, and Slug Burgers, and that's a very niche audience in Northeast Mississippi. I recognize that, but funnel cakes, oatmeal cream pies, Nutty Buddies, Slug Burgers. What are yours?
We need to do a live $2 sports show at Borum's drugstore to get and to introduce all of our West Tennessee folks and anybody from around the globe, including our Belsh listeners, if they still listen.
They still listen. They do. I was checking Spotify the other day. We're still downloaded every week in Belgium. So shout out to the Belsh.
To the Belsh people. My honorable mentions were mini marshmallows, just because the idea of mini marshmallow eating contest would be hilarious, because who in the world is going to count them? That's what went through my head. Like, most impossible thing
and
to
then
count.
Big dudes like me and you are up there eating these little bitty marshmallows.
You got to eat them one at a time.
Yeah.
And, do like Survivor, where you have to show your tongue to make sure you swallowed it after every single mini marshmallow. And popcorn. I'm a sucker for popcorn.
Same.
I tell my wife, like, you go get the Act 2. Like, don't get the Orville Redenbacher. No, go get
Don't get the Great
Act
Value.
2, and go get the one that has the most violent amount of butter on it.
Extreme nuclear butter, right?
Yeah. Whatever butter is like, it's like the what's it called? The national defense levels, red, orange,
like we're red, orange,
whatever is like
5.
national security level, red, black, like get that one.
DEFCON 5 butter. Like, I just want the box to be saturated. Like, I want it to be soggy. There's so much butter on that popcorn. I agree.
Yeah, so
that's a good one. Popcorn's a good one.
I actually think DEFCON 1 is the most extreme.
Ooh, maybe.
I think it's like golf scoring. So,
whatever. Regardless, give me all the butter. And that's going to do it for the $2 Sports Show. I will be posting our list again to Instagram like we used to. So vote. Tell us who has the better list. I'll put on a comment. Please respond with what you would want to eat in a eating contest. Let us know what you think. I'm going to put, again, our list of players that we want to see on the Memphis Grizzlies next year. Bookmark that. See if we're right in a few weeks. And Uncle Buck, it's been another good show, buddy.
Enjoyed it. Congratulations to Trevor Lawrence on $142 million guaranteed money on the new 5-year, $275 million extension he just signed.
Yeah, Mac Jones is never seeing the field again.
Yeah, $200 million guaranteed, $142 million when he signed the dotted line.
I'm in the wrong line of work.
Yeah, so enjoyed it, Buckets. Been another successful show. We got this show in before the sun went down. So success. So I hope everybody had an enjoyable, pleasurable experience listening to the $2 ramble on for an hour and 23 minutes a day. Just remember, you always get what you pay for with a $2 Sports Show, and we will see you again next week.
Thank you for listening to the $2 Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next